So Donald Trump is officially back in the White House, and despite a couple of reports suggesting potential assassination attempts, by the grace of God that did not happen, and I'm sure many conservatives would consider the inauguration an extreme success. And because of that, congratulations to Donald Trump and his team. But now that Donald Trump is back in office, I do have a few questions. As somebody who identifies or places themselves as center-right, I'm neither on the left, neither fully on the right. It's very easy for me to look at the left and quickly identify several things that don't align with me and my values as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus Christ, such as their extreme views on abortion, affirming the idea that there are several genders when clearly the Bible states, when clearly science and biology support the fact that there are only male and female, pushing for biological men to participate in women's sports, down to their views on DEI, but we'll get to that. The modern day conservatism is a little bit more difficult for me to fully understand what it is that they believe. I hear what they say, but I'm not so sure if their actions fully align with it. And I also have to wonder if many conservatives were waiting for the moment for Donald Trump to be reelected to really voice how they feel about other Americans.
Racism isn't bad, okay? So it's not bad to be racist, because racism is a discrimination factor, which we use all the time.
Yeah, and everyone all around the world, all races, is racist.
Yeah, and you should be
the white people
though.
are the only ones that get criticized for it.
Like if you're black and you see a group of young black guys rolling up, dressed all hood, acting suspicious, you should make a stereotypical assumption that there's potential issues, and you should probably not hang out in that vicinity unless you are loaded with a gun and you're wanting a fight. I want to re-educate people into understanding that racism doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a better friend, a better husband, a better father, and it makes you a better person. Originally, you were slaves and you didn't even have value in terms of the political system. Then they were given like 3/8 of the value, right?
3/5.
3/5. Thank you. In my world, it was 3/8, but I live in a utopia. No, I'm just kidding. But it was like 3/5, and you go down, and it's like then amendments were made, and there was adjustments that gave you citizenship and the right to vote. But it didn't make you an American. It just gave you American citizenship. It gave you legal right. And that's why it doesn't take a genius to notice that black people and white people in America look, act, behave fundamentally different, both individually and collectively. Now, that's not to say that black people aren't valuable in the eyes of God. It's not to say that white people are better than black people, even if they are. No, I'm kidding.
That was a very popular conservative by the name of Elijah Schaefer, maybe. I may be butchering his last name, who decided to share his opinions on black Americans, suggesting that we're actually not real Americans. Now, as ridiculous as this sounds, as dumb as this sounds, despite the fact that many black Americans fought in wars, despite the fact that to even be considered an American, that's literally what the 14th Amendment was about, birthright citizenship. But even if you move that aside, from a cultural and a social identity perspective, participating or engaging in American cultural practices, traditions, and civic activities, such as voting and paying taxes and participating in the community, helping build the community, that literally makes you an American. But that aside, conservatism, I was under the impression, meant conserving traditional values. And as somebody who's only known or have been learning about conservatism for about 4 years now, I've learned a lot later than many people in this country. And when you compare modern day conservatism to conservatism of just maybe 15, 20 years ago, it's a vast difference, in my opinion, right? I was under the impression at the root of it was Christian values. At the root of it was Jesus Christ. But when I look at it today, it seems to be more so tied to politicians and what they believe and how they represent the Republican Party. And they try to make conservatism fit the current politician instead of making the politician fit conservative values. So speaking of crazy, many times on this channel, I've mentioned that last year was the craziest year of my life, and I stand by that. And another reason that made last year crazy was because of data security. As it's been reported that there were a lot of alarming vulnerabilities and high-profile breaches that took place, exposing personal information on a massive scale. So for example, when you look at Dell, they reported that there were over 3.9 million breaches of customer accounts, and compromised sensitive details. Ticketmaster's breach was even larger, with over 560 million records exposed. However, the most concerning incident came just a few months ago when the National Public Data reported a breach of catastrophic proportions. This breach potentially affects every single American, compromising over 2.9 billion records used for background checks. These records include names, addresses, date of birth, phone numbers, but most critically and most importantly, people's social security numbers. To make matters even worse, the perpetrators have even already released this information online completely free of charge. If this doesn't make you reconsider how seriously you protect your personal information, it should. In a world where our data is constantly at risk, protecting yourself and your loved ones isn't just an option, it's a necessity. That's why I use Aura, today's sponsor. Aura takes a proactive approach to safeguarding personal data. It monitors key details such as your social security number across billions of data points, including the dark web and public court records. If there's suspicious activity, Aura sends real-time alerts so you're always in the know. And if the unthinkable happens, they back their service with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. But Aura doesn't just stop there. They've created a suite of tools to keep you and your family secure. Real-time notifications for data breaches, a secure VPN for private browsing, tools to opt out of data brokers selling your information, a robust password manager for creating and securely storing strong passwords. I personally take my family's security extremely serious, and I encourage you all to do the same, right? Visit aura.com/DDGottaPodcast. Again, that's aura.com/DDGottaPodcast to start your free 2-week trial. Aura can determine if your personal data is already exposed. Take control of your digital security today, because protecting what matters most is worth it. So for example, let's start with Donald Trump himself, the man who I truly believe is far above criticism from anybody on the right. Instead, I see all the big talking heads defending Trump, praising Trump, supporting Trump, promoting Trump, but they're never critical of Trump. And it's very weird to me, despite the fact that I think we can all agree that Trump is not a Christian.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it, because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
It means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that
you
like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible... The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Psychologist. Yeah, I probably struggle with psychology.
But nobody ever talks about that, despite the fact that Trump is not pro-life.
The Republicans, the liberals, the conservatives, they wanted it brought out of the federal government and brought back to the states for a vote of the people. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. I strongly believe. You know, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't. It's a very small percentage.
Many people are going to say, technically speaking, he is. If Trump is supporting any form of abortion, that is anti-Christian. If he is supporting any form of abortion, that's not consistent with the teachings of Jesus Christ. Now, a lot of you are going to hop in the comment section and say, well, it's not that. We agree with you. It's just that we'd rather take somebody that's much closer to what we believe as pro-lifers. Well, the problem is, I don't even hear enough of you complaining about that. Aren't you upset that Trump actually supports sending it back to the states? Or let's talk about Trump and his meme coin. This has to be illegal. I don't know how this is not illegal. And even if it is legal, or you can argue in favor of Trump, at the very least, you have to admit as a conservative that this is unethical. To use your campaign, to use your presidency, to use your position to make billions and billions of dollars in the span of just days has to be ludicrous.
Do you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $1 billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
but nobody's upset about it. Nobody's in an uproar. When I saw that come out, my mind was blown. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this consistent with traditional values? And even if it is or it isn't, the people, the biggest voices that have the biggest platforms, once again, never go after Trump. They never bash him for anything. Are you a follower of Jesus Christ or are you a follower of Donald Trump? Which brings me to my next point. One of the biggest executive orders that Donald Trump signed on his first day was putting an end to any DEI practices on any federal level, which I actually support. Listen, I just want to interrupt for just a sec to say, if you are enjoying this video, I ask that you please hit that like button. If you enjoy my content, if you want to help the channel, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps pushes my video out there. I would really, really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to my second channel if you have not subscribed yet. Link is in the description. I'm one of the very few, and I'm in the very small percentage of Black Americans that actually support it. Why do I support it? Well, I'm actually torn between it because I am not for discrimination against white people, for the most part, white men. And what a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not that we're against white men. We are just trying to create opportunity for those who typically are overlooked, such as women, people of color, and people from rural parts of America. Except for the fact that I know from firsthand experience, that it's not just about looking out for others, it's literally about payback. I know that for a fact. It means that if a white guy was to apply for a position, very qualified, they don't care about who he is as a person, they don't care about his history, his family's history. If you are a white man, we're going to overlook you and give somebody else who may not even be as deserving of that position, we're going to give them a shot. I don't support that. It's wrong. It's discrimination. Now, this is where you're going to ask me, what's my solution? I don't have a solution. I just know I don't want discrimination against anybody. Black and brown people, women, white men, white women, anyone. But that's actually my question to conservatives. If you're going to put an end to DEI, what would you suggest is a sensible solution to DEI while also adequately acknowledging how to account for nepotism, favoritism, racism against people of color, cronyism, and so many other Black and brown and rural parts of America not receiving quality education and training to prepare them for these jobs? And I'm asking this because I'm afraid we're going to see what we've always typically seen. We're going to see a disproportionate representation in these positions because a lot of white folks grow up in better communities with better education, so they're going to be far more equipped and prepared for these positions and these jobs, right? And these colleges. So all I'm stating is I don't support DEI in the sense of discrimination, while I do understand why parts of DEI is also necessary because of that very thing. I'm not hearing conservatives offer sensible solutions that will actually solve the very problem that DEI was introduced in the first place to account for. Another thing I found very strange was the response to the Elon Musk salute. That was very strange to me because I don't believe Elon Musk is a Nazi. I do not believe that Donald Trump is a Nazi. The term Nazi is being overused, is losing its meaning, and I'm sick of people, especially on the left, using that term. It's old, it's played out. These people have not unalived millions of people, bro. They haven't said out of their own mouth in a public forum or a public setting that they want to unalive all millions of people that are not white. But I have to admit, the Elon Musk thing was a bit awkward to me because Elon Musk, I personally believe he did that on purpose. Despite the fact that he's socially awkward, he's spoken about being socially awkward. I believe he has Asperger's. That makes it difficult for him to know what's socially appropriate at times. But when I look at his salute, that seemed extremely intentional to me. When you compare it to what you've seen actual Nazis do, when you compare it to what you've seen Nazis in movies do.
Here. And then the straight up, that was a serious Roman. It wasn't even like a subtle, like a wave, like one of these, like a Laura Ingraham. Remember when Laura Ingraham did that? That was a straight up Sig Heil, loving Hitler energy. that was like a straight up with intensity Roman salute.
That was very intentional to me. And I already don't fully trust Elon Musk altogether anyways, for multiple reasons, such as him wanting to put chips in people's brains because of what his plans for the advancement of technology and how it's going to replace human beings, which in my opinion is anti-God, because you're trying to replace God's creation. But also because I remember he wore this suit one time, which is quite literally the Baphomet, which is quite literally anti-God. In no circumstances is wearing something like this appropriate. But this brings me to my last point. It seems to me that modern conservatism isn't actually about Christian values the way people say that it is. It seems to me that modern conservatism has grown into anti-left, right? Like, if you're just anti-left, if you're anti-quote-unquote woke, which I get it. I don't support the things on the left that are anti-God myself. But we can't just be willing to accept anything or anybody that is against the left if they are also representing something that is against God. You look at a David Rubin, who's married to another man. When you look at some of the transgenders, who once again promote conservative values, but they're living a life that is not Christian. So it should be on us as Christians to promote these things to these people, to tell them to repent, change their ways, change their mindset, ask for forgiveness, and follow the way of Jesus Christ. But it seems to me that we don't do that. When you look at a person like Andrew Tate, who has religiously talked about his support, his promotion of pornography, how he's made all this money from the webcam business, and you don't see any pushback. Or you see very little pushback. You got people like Candace Owens supporting him. You got people like Benny Johnson, or whatever his name is, one of the biggest Trump supporters in the conservative movement, who never criticizes Trump for anything, interviewing Andrew Tate, taking up for Andrew Tate, calling Andrew Tate a victim.
Someone who I think will deliver absolute profound takes on what is happening right now, because he himself has been the victim of state-sponsored incarceration.
Despite the fact that Andrew Tate is against the conservative and Christian movement.
These conservative losers tell you, get married. Ben Shapiro, a little Jew. The reason they'll say Andrew Tate's a bad guy is really because they know I get to live free and do what I want, live with my friends, and have endless children from endless beauty queens.
You actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years, which is difficult. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
This is why I say that conservatism and liberalism are two wings of the same bird. Because I just see a lot of hypocrites. I see a lot of hypocrites on both sides. I see people who have agendas. I look at people like Benny as a paid agent. He's paid and placed in position to help build and promote this narrative for Trump. Just like many people on the left have people set in place that are paid by politicians and other powers that be to promote narratives for them. It's two wings of the same bird. Because if you people were really Christian, you would move like Christians. But you're not. It's like you've separated it. I rambled this entire video, but these are the things that were on my mind because I'm just confused about what conservatism is, which is why I don't identify as a conservative, because I fear that it's not actually Christian values, right? But if you all feel different, I would love to hear your thoughts. Hop in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. That's all for this one, man. Until next time. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Didi got a podcast.